Okay, let's look at the properties of acid. Acids generally have a sour taste. Okay, so example, your lemon, they are actually example of your acid. They contain citric acid. They have a sour taste. Next one, we learned that acid, they turn blue litmus paper to red. We have seen just now also, we have talked about it. And the last one, acid have a pH of less than 7. These are the three general properties of acid. When we go further in depth, we talk about the reactions of your acid. So first reaction of acid, acid plus metal gives you salt and hydrogen gas. So first reaction is acid plus metal give you salt and hydrogen gas. Now, this reaction gives off hydrogen gas. How do we test for this hydrogen gas here? What we can use is this thing called a lighted spleen. It's actually a wooden stick with a fire at the end. When you put the lighted spleen into the flask with hydrogen gas, the lighted spleen will extinguish with a pop sound. Okay, so just take note, you must know how to do the test for hydrogen. Okay, and you must know the reaction. So acid, first one, acid react metal to give you salt plus hydrogen gas. And you must learn how to test for hydrogen gas. We will look at how are some of the reactions. Okay, let's be a bit more specific here. So example of acid plus metal reaction, we got hydrochloric acid. Okay, we got the acid here, hydrochloric acid plus zinc. Zinc is a metal. Okay, what is the salt that we produce? Because we learned from the previous slide that it will give a salt plus hydrogen gas. The hydrogen gas at the back is quite standard, so we can just leave it there. But how do we know the salt name? Because it's hydrochloric acid, the salt that's produced will be a chloride. What kind of chloride will it be? Just take the metal and put it in front, so it's a zinc chloride. Same thing here. So we've got sulfuric acid, react with magnesium metal. Okay, we know that hydrogen gas is produced, but what kind of salt is produced? Sulfuric acid produces sulfate salt. What kind of sulfate salt will it be? It will be a magnesium sulfate, because the metal that's reacting is magnesium. Last one, nitric acid plus iron. I know hydrogen gas is confirmed produced because it's acid plus metal reaction. The key here is what is the salt? Because I'm using nitric acid, the salt that I'm producing is a nitrate salt. What kind of nitrate? Reacting with iron metal, so it's an iron nitrate. So you can see how the names are related. Okay, so please make sure you know how to form the names. Next property of acid. Acid reacts with carbonate to form three things here: salt, carbon dioxide gas, and water. So yes, you can see the equation is a little bit long. Acid plus carbonate give you salt, carbon dioxide plus water. Just now we learned how to test for the hydrogen gas. Now this place here we will learn to test for carbon dioxide. So how do we test for carbon dioxide? What do? We bubble the gas through lime water. So how do we know whether carbon dioxide is produced? After bubbling through, you will see that white precipitate forms in lime water. So you can see from here, okay, this picture is actually quite clear, quite good. As you can see from the start, the solution is clear. The lime water was clear. But then as we bubble through more and more carbon dioxide, you can see the solution, the lime water is turning chalky, and then after that, it's totally white. So we said, actually, how come it's turning white? Because white precipitate forms. Okay, white precipitate forms. So this is the properties of the second reaction of your acid. Acid plus carbonate gives you salt, carbon dioxide, gas, and water. So let's look at it. First up, I got hydrochloric acid plus magnesium carbonate. So you can see it's an acid and a carbonate reaction. What you're going to get is a salt, carbon dioxide gas plus water. These two are standard. But why is the salt produced? Same thing, just look at what kind of acid I'm using. If I'm using hydrochloric acid, I'll get a chloride salt. What kind of chloride salt will I get? Look at the name, what type of carbonate. So we just swap it in, magnesium chloride. Next one, sulfuric acid plus zinc carbonate. Acid plus carbonate reaction, so it's a salt plus carbon dioxide plus water. What's the salt name? Sulfuric acid, so I know it's a sulfate salt. Since it's a zinc carbonate, the zinc will actually come here. Take the metal of the carbonate and put it with the acid. Okay, so zinc sulfate form. Next one, we got nitric acid plus sodium carbonate. Acid plus carbonate gives you salt, carbon dioxide plus water. Because it's a nitric acid, so it'll be a nitrate salt. What kind of nitrate? It'll be a sodium nitrate. So you can see here, this is slightly more complicated, but it's still not difficult at all to find out the name. Okay, still not difficult at all to find out the name. And the last one for the reaction of acid. Okay, this is the third reaction of acid. The third one. Acid alkalis to form salt and water. So equation, acid plus alkali gives salt and water. So let's look at some of it. Examples of acid and alkali. Hydrochloric acid plus sodium hydroxide. Actually, once you see the word hydroxide, you should know that it's an alkali. So I know that acid plus alkali gives me salt plus water. So salt is here, water is here. What type of salt is produced? Since it's hydrochloric acid, chloride salt is formed. What kind of chloride salt? Sodium chloride. Because it's a sodium hydroxide, you bring the sodium down. Sulfuric acid plus potassium hydroxide. Acid plus hydroxide is acid plus alkali. So what is the salt form? I know it's salt plus water. But what is the salt? Since it's sulfuric acid, it must be a sulfate salt. And what kind of sulfate salt? It will be a potassium sulfate. And the last one, nitric acid plus ammonium hydroxide. Acid plus hydroxide. Hydroxide is alkali. So I know that it will be salt plus water. But what does salt produce? Since it is a nitric acid, it will form a nitrate salt. Then you bring the name ammonium down, so it forms a ammonium nitrate. So these are the properties of your acid. Okay, so we have three different reactions here. These are the general properties. Then we went on to talk about the first reaction, acid plus metal. We went on to talk about the next reaction, acid plus carbonate. And then we went on to talk about the third reaction, which is acid plus alkali. Sorry, the third one here. So take note of the reactions of acids. They are really important. So make sure you do memorize them, remember them, and how to get the name of each one of them, of the salts.